Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of the Daily African Proverbs. I'm here with my wonderful friend Chioma Sheri, who is going to be our guest for today's session. So I'm just going to invite Chioma to say hi real quick. We had a little delay with our starting time, but we've overcome the technical challenge that I had to deal with earlier. Chioma, how are you doing this morning?
I'm okay. I'm a little tired. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you just fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good. But I'm okay. I'm okay, Simon. How are you?
I am doing great. This is another start to a beautiful day. So I'm just excited to be here, excited to, to dive into this proverb in just a moment here. We are in Mozambique today. I wonder if we'll have someone from Mozambique in the room on Clubhouse. But I see familiar faces who have already joined us both on Clubhouse and also on YouTube, where we are live for today's conversation. Before Madaraka Festival, before August 5th, Chioma and I used to, team up every Wednesday, where we would take the proverb that we are discussing for the day, and Chioma would come with a poem that was inspired by the proverb that we are discussing. So today we are going to go back to that format that really was one of my favorite formats of the Daily African Proverbs. So I just want to thank you all for your love and support. And I want to first introduce you to Chioma, who is an amazing friend, and also an amazing writer and storyteller and creator, and is working on a book. Her book is forthcoming. She will speak about that whenever she's ready. But today we want to talk about a proverb from Mozambique that says that slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. Slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. I want you to think about what this Mozambican proverb means to you. I have 3 nuggets that my team and I prepared that I want to share with you. Today, I'll share it towards the end of our conversation. I want to encourage you, if you're on Clubhouse, take a minute, ping in 3 to 5 people so that we can have some of your friends join us for today's conversation. And if you are on YouTube, remember to subscribe to the channel. That's one of the ways that you can support this incredible work. Chioma, I want to, first of all, ask for you to help us, figure out what this proverb means. We want your thoughts about it, but also in the introduction, share with me anything that I should have said about you that I might have left out, and just let us know where you are at the moment and how you're doing.
Hey, Simon. You didn't really leave much out, Simon. I feel like you hit on the main point. I am currently tuning in from Philly right now. What'd you say, Simon?
I didn't say anything. I think that was just the video, the live stream of us talking played.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But to this proverb, first of all, I actually just want to say, like, just thank you to everyone who's like in the room right now. It's been so long, I feel like, since we had this session, and I am looking forward to just, getting back to this and hearing everyone's thoughts and just seeing familiar faces. Like I see Brother here, Rushi. I see Tara. So I'm just like excited to just kind of like be back in this space that's always poured into me and made me feel like, I don't know, made me feel better. So yeah, thank you for this space, Simon, and just thank you all for everyone who's here, even if it's like intimate right now. Still love this space. And so the proverb today is slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. What came to mind was a few things, and one was like how permeating slander and like negative talk about someone can be. Just how impactful words are in general, but particularly negative talk and slander. And I was like, you can say a lot of good things, and sometimes people won't really hear it, but stuff like slander and negative talk really does reach people and people hear it. So it made me think of being mindful of your tongue. And then what also was interesting about the proverb is that it said like slander by the stream. So it didn't just say slander, it just said slander, it said slander by the stream. So it made me think of being mindful of not just like how you speak, but also where you speak. Um, and like it said that it will be heard by the frogs. So even like the frogs are listening or can hear you. And so I was trying to do some like research on frogs, and I got like mixed information, but like one thing that I did get was like this understanding that people want to know like how do frogs hear? Because their ears aren't as like noticeable as like I guess like other animals. And I know that they hear like through these like glands or like membrane things. So it just made me think of like how um even if you may not think people are listening or have ears to hear, that they are listening and that they can hear you. It also made me think of like sometimes when you're having like conversations or you're frustrated and you're having conversations with like other adults in the space, but you may have kids around or something like that. So just kind of like being mindful. And then like my last question that I had when I was thinking about this proverb is like, who are the frogs? I don't really have an understanding of how our ancestors understood or viewed frogs, or if there were any like sort of cultural thing about them. But I was just, had that question. So overall, that's my thought about the proverb is like being mindful of your tongue. Yeah, I'm complete.
Yeah, being mindful of your tongue, and also being mindful of where you're speaking and what you're saying. Yeah, I love that. I love that. And also, thinking about frogs, and I really love how you normally research. After you receive the proverb, you research. Sometimes you research the proverb, sometimes you research a particular thing about the proverb itself. And today it looks like you researched the frog. And
I did. I was trying to get some more understanding of the frog.
right. And a lot of the time when we speak about the frog, a frog is not something that people bring up in their conversations or in their thinking, or even in an analogy. You don't hear frogs that much. But in this situation, a frog is brought into the picture, and it's also suggesting that when you speak, when you speak, even if you speak elsewhere, something else might be hearing there, but especially around the stream, you could replace the stream with your house, your workplace. Many things could replace the stream, but also the frog, even the smallest thing in that space, because the stream is huge, there could be a crocodile in the stream, but particularly be careful of, or be mindful of the smallest things in these kinds of situations. Anyway, you just got me thinking, and taking it even further. I just want to welcome Simply E, who just joined us for today's conversation. We'll just bring you up on stage. And also I want to thank you really, Rushi and brother, and of course Chioma, for your love and support. It means a lot that, we are all here and really enjoying this conversation around this Mozambican proverb. Now, Chioma, we've talked a little bit about your thoughts on the proverb, and I want us to go a little further and talk about a poem that you might have prepared for us today, inspired by this proverb. If you want, you can just say something briefly about it, and then you can share it with us.
Okay. Well, I really whipped this proverb up, this poem up this morning, and I was just really grateful that like something came because sometimes I always
Yeah.
get nervous. Someone like, am I gonna have something good in time?
Especially
Um,
after such a long time not
Doing it,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
going
just
to be
getting
good.
back into it. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing. I'm about to share right now. All right. So just for context again, the proverb for today is slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. And this is the poem that I wrote inspired by that. Your tongue can cut a thing in half, can cut a thing in pieces. Slice too hard, too quick, your knife can fall or slip. Cut your hand, cut your feet, what your words weren't meant to eat. And even if you cut with care, the frogs can hear your knife hitting the cutting board. And that's all. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Chioma. I think that this is a perfect place to bring in Simply E to share her perspective on this poem, and also just introduce yourself a little bit to the room, and feel free to also share your perspectives on this proverb. Thank you so much.
Chioma, that was very deep. Very, very deep. I don't think I even have anything to add there. It's just so deep. Um, that I think it deserves just a moment to even let it sink in. It was very profound. Um,
Oh, thank you, Simply E.
yeah,
Seriously, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, it really was. Um, and so when I look at this proverb, which by the way, I'm here from Memphis, Tennessee, USA today. I'm ready to do a little bit of traveling, so I'm hoping that's going to come up soon. I had planned on traveling a few weeks ago, but it didn't happen. So the proverb, though, how words can be a powerful tool in your life, is that, oh no, I'm sorry, apologies. Um, with the proverb, um, slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. Um, are you able to hear me?
Yeah,
Oh
we can hear
yeah,
you,
Oh,
yeah,
Simply.
for sure.
okay. Okay, because I got the red bar. Um, it's it's you just gotta be aware that um, things carry messages. People carry messages. Sometimes people can get messages from the ether, right? Your ears burn. You can hear your name when it's being spoken in the universe if you listen enough. But I just think we need to be aware and cognizant of what we bring to certain things, because there's a frequency. There's a frequency in speaking someone up. There's a frequency in tale bearing. There's a frequency in scandal. There's a frequency in all those things. So um, always be aware that there are ears, even in the mountains or even in the sky, that can carry a message somewhere that you may intend for it to go or may not. And that is my interpretation of this proverb. But I really, really enjoyed the poem that Shioma gave. I really think that's super deep, and I don't think I've heard you go that deep before. But that's really given me something to think about. Thank you, Chioma.
Thank you, Simply E.
Thank you so much, Simply E, and thank you, Chioma, for the poem. I honestly would love to hear it one more time towards the end of the conversation. The beauty of your poem, all the poems you've always made, is they're always short and sweet. They leave you wanting more. So I honestly would love to hear a little more. But I also want to welcome my brother Phil, who is in the room. Feel free to join us on the stage. I see that we've been joined by someone here called 199301. Thank you for joining us. We are here, for the Daily African Proverbs. We've been doing this conversation for over a year and a half now, since January 2021. I don't know how exactly long that has been, but we've taken a couple of weeks breaks here and there. For example, when we held Madaraka on August 13th and 14th here in Seattle, but we've always been consistent, and our hope is that with each African proverb, we continue spreading African culture and African wisdom. So that's why we are here. And on Wednesdays, my guest is Chioma Sheri, who is an incredible, writer, storyteller, and a creator who is working on a book at the moment. Chioma just shared with us an amazing poem. If you missed it, you might want to stay on so that later on, towards the end of our conversation, you can hear it. But our proverb is from Mozambique, and it says, "Slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs." So I want to move on to the next question here for Chioma, because Chioma, he is my special guest. And I want to ask you, Chioma, to share with us. Recently, you are in Kenya. I come from Kenya myself, and I think Rushi has been to Kenya. Phil is from Kenya, and everyone else is probably very excited to hear what inspired your trip to Kenya. You're not from Kenya originally, and we talked about it before you went. I really wanted to help with it, but I was focused on Madaraka. But I want to hear, what is it that inspired you to do that trip, and was it worth it?
Oh, hi, Simon. Okay. So funny enough, one of my friends travels, and sometimes he invites friends, and he asked me, he's like, "Hey, do you want to come?" So, the trip was actually both to Kenya and Rwanda. And I was just kind of like, yes. I've only been to one country on the continent, and I've never been to any other country. I've never been to the East. And just being a part of this session, and being connected to you, hearing people like you, Stella, Lavender, talk about um, Kenya just made me more excited to like say yes. And also my friend really wanted to go to Rwanda, but he was just like, I want another country in there as well. And so I think you also kind of like inspired him to just put Kenya on there, because he's come in this room a few times as well. So that's kind of, I guess, like the inspiration. I just was like, yeah, why not? And I've been wanting to go back to the continent and to be able to go with a friend, and like, so like outside of family and not necessarily by myself. It was really nice. Some of my favorite moments, I'll go from like the simplest to like the most profound, like in no order. But I enjoyed being on top of the convention center. It was really, really nice up there. I enjoyed eating mandazis and drinking dawa. I had a friend, an associate who goes back and forth from Kenya, so being able to meet up with him and his friend was actually like really a nice moment. I was at the Maasai market by myself, which was quite an experience, and being able to just like bargain and find just some really like nice stuff. It was a lot of pressure in there, but it was really cool. And then I think like one really significant moment for me was I was at this bookshop, coffee shop called Cheche. And we were just chilling in there, and then I saw this poet come in. And so when I was planning my trip, I was initially trying to do like something poetry related, like an open mic or an event. And I saw that they were having an event, but like I didn't come early enough to like make it. But like I just remember seeing her face, and then like she walked in the bookshop, and I saw her putting her books down. And I just like said hi to her. I bought like her book, and we like chit chatted for a little bit, and she like put me in her blog. It was just like a really cute moment to just meet another like young poet and a Kenyan poet. So I think that was something that was really exciting. But yeah, overall, I just kind of had I just enjoyed being in the space, in a different space and back on the motherland. It was just yeah, just a really good time overall. Hopefully that answers your question, Simon.
Yeah, it was
And
beautiful.
also thank you, Stella, too. Stella gave me some tips of like things to do there. I also got to feed a giraffe. That was pretty fun. But yeah, so I'm just really grateful. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love listening to perspectives from people who have never been to Kenya, and I knew them before they went, and then just getting their experience. One, because I'm always curious, and two, because I organize trips to Kenya as well, and I'm getting back into doing that a lot more from early next year. But the planning has already started. So if you're interested in doing the next group trip with me to Kenya,
I
let me
am,
know.
Simon. I really, because like hearing you talk so much, like I always like I want to also visit Kisumu because I know you're from there. So it would be nice to like travel with you. And then also like some folks are telling me like, oh, you have to go to like visit an island. You have to go to Lamu or somewhere. And I'm like, okay. So I know I have to go back there some time to go visit some other areas as well. Because I was just mainly in Nairobi.
Yeah, I agree. One of the challenges I'm having with organizing these trips, historically, I've always organized these trips as part of a big project that I'm doing. For example, we had Madaraka Festival in Kenya before, and we organized a group trip around it. So we had like photographers, videographers, and people who are well knowledgeable about stage managing and just the technical production aspects of an event like that. But also, my desire now is not to go around a big project. I just want to go and do like a retreat with a group of people who are interested in learning something, and then bringing a few other people who are experts in that thing, whether it's writing, podcasting, leadership, and even cooking, gathering a few Kenyan chefs and traveling with chefs from here or people from here who are interested in learning Kenyan dishes, and then focusing a trip on food, So maybe another one on poetry, gathering poets and traveling with a group of poets. Maybe another one, activists, so anyway, so many ways to go, and I'm interested in ideas of if it were you traveling to the continent beyond Kenya, what is it? What kind of people would you like to travel with? And information like that. I'm interested to know. If you want to talk more privately, send me a DM and I'll be able to engage you more. The best place to send me a DM is on Instagram, and my Instagram is at Okelo Javan. Just in case you're watching this on YouTube and you don't know where to go. Now I want to open the floor a little bit. I want to, just create time for us to hear from Brother and Rushi and Phil and also Stella. But for the sake of those who might just be joining us, we are here for the Daily African Proverbs. We are live on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who is with us on YouTube. And also, thank you to those who have subscribed. We have over 3,000 subscribers so far. And I encourage you to subscribe if you're watching this. But also, let me know in the comment, what is it that today's proverb means to you? The proverb is from Mozambique, and it says, "Slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs." Now I want to come to you, brother, so that we can also hear your thoughts on this proverb briefly. Share with us where you are and what today's proverb means to you. Thank you.
Peace and love, family. This is Brother Earth. I'm in the North Carolina territory. Gratitude to you, Simon, for the platform, and always keeping the wisdom of the ancestors out for it. Gratitude to you, Chioma, for your wonderful poetry and experiences about your trip to Africa. And my 2 cents that I add, say about the proverb is it reminded me of two sayings. You know, they used to all the time say, bad news travel twice as fast and go twice as far as good news. And it's another saying that, you know, uh, nobody wants to hear the truth when a lie is much more entertaining. And with that being said, uh, it is very key and important that we be mindful of what we say because negative and bad travels much further. And, once you say something, you can't unsay it. Once somebody hears something, they can't unhear it. And it usually leaves a lasting impression. And as far as when I was, Chioma was breaking it down, or you were breaking it down, the stream could be out in public, or in a different forum, and like you said, the frog, it could be, you not even see it, somewhat camouflage or hidden, but you always have to be mindful of what you're putting out there, because once it's out there, it's out there. And I'm gonna park my plane right there. Peace and love, family. It's Brother Earth.
I love that. Yeah, I love how you also spoke about no one wants to hear the truth because lies are so entertaining. The value system is a little messed up lately. What you said is really, really, it resonates with so many things going on around the world. And I agree with it totally. We love entertainment, short term enjoyment, but we are not willing to go deeper and really, really work to understand what the truth is and how liberating it actually is to have that understanding. Brother Rushi, how are you doing? Thank you again for your love and support. Share with us your thoughts on today's proverb, please.
No worries. Thank you. Thank you, Simon. Rafiki Yangu, my friend. I love this proverb. This proverb really, I'm calling from Charleston, South Carolina. That's where I'm at today. This proverb, it's if anyone who wants to be a great leader and wants to be well loved and well respected, this proverb should be the epitome of what they practice. Uh, if you think of, when I think of this proverb, when you talk about the frogs are so relentless with their speech. They ribbit all night. I have a lot of frogs around my house. They ribbit all night long. And if you're by a stream, they ribbit all night. It's relentless. That stream could be anything. It could be a live stream. If you want to talk about today's age, a stream is a live stream, it could be anything. A stream can represent. But what's so important is if you think of, when I think of this proverb, if you think of all the great leaders in our world, whether they're activists, the presidents, or whatever, the people who are the most loved are the ones who don't engage in slander or libel. Slander and libel, the thing is, when you think about this proverb, when you talk about slander, that's such a powerful word because what that word really means is you're defaming someone's character falsely. And you can never progress. It's hard to progress if you are consistently defaming someone else. Even if you're kind of right, if I think of some of our great leaders in our country, Martin Luther King, such a great, powerful man. He has a holiday. He has his own holiday, and if you live in Seattle, King County is named after Martin Luther King. One thing is hard to find if you look at his history is him slandering or committing libel against someone. It's hard to find that. If you think about it, when have you ever seen Dr. King really slander someone's name? You hardly ever see that. However, one of my favorite leaders, which is Malcolm X, he's going to speak his mind, right or wrong, he's going to speak his mind. He doesn't hold his tongue. And he's well loved, but not by everyone. He doesn't have the same love and respect of Martin Luther King. He doesn't have his own counties, it's all because I believe in this. And also I've been following a lot of us been following the politics in Kenya with the presidential election. And I've been reading a lot of the news, the Post News, and all the news outlets. And everyone's talking about the how this one candidate has lost. And like now, there's so much talk about what they did wrong. We should have did this. We should have done that. And those are all forms of, to me, of libel. When you publicly say things that maybe you should keep within a close house. We should be talking. You should when criticism needs to be kept in a constructive format. And when you just kind of like just put it out there for people to dissect, it always creates some type of dissension. It always creates some type of uncomfortableness, and that's when you start to lose momentum within a group or a party. If you have it, you think of people like Nelson Mandela, such a great man, and you don't see that slander and libel from him. And look how well loved he is. You know, that's why Simon. That's why I believe Simon is such. You're such a loved person as well because you know how to interact with people. You don't engage in slander and libel, and that's what makes you special. That's the reason why you can have rooms, clubhouse rooms, and people come to support you. You can do Modern Rock Festival, and you get support from everyone. Is because this proverb is the epitome of how you conduct yourself. And this is something I always strive to do as well. I try to never talk about someone when they're not around because the frogs are always listening. If you're online and you say something about someone, it's going to get repeated, and whenever someone repeats it, it never comes out the way you intended it to come out. So you have to be so careful about the words that you use, especially when they're directed towards someone else. So a lot of times we have feelings about someone else and we say things emotionally, and they're always taken out of context. And once they're taken out of context, it's hard to get that the responsibility of what you said is hard to bring that back. Just like how this is like how the rapper Birdman said, whenever you say someone's name, you need to put some respect on it. I tell people, put some respect on my name. It's the same way Birdman says. So we have to be very respectful with our words especially when they're directed towards someone else. Even if it's true, you really need to you really need to be cognizant of how you say things about other people or about other groups of people. So I would say that about this proverb. Thank you so much, Asante Sana.
Karibu, karibu, karibu. I just appreciate, your words of wisdom so much, and I appreciate the the compliments that you gave me. I take them all in.
You well deserved.
Yes, man. Thank you so much. Wow. I want to welcome Phil. I haven't heard your voice in a minute. Share with us where you're joining us from, and also what is it that comes to your mind when you hear this proverb from Mozambique.
Morning, Simon. How you guys doing? It's nice to be here. Rushi, that was amazing. That was incredible. And I like the examples you're giving and characteristics of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. That was a great example you're giving there. Simon, man, it's good to hear from you. For me, the proverb just reminds me of how the universe works. What goes around comes around. Nothing is really a secret. What you say will eventually come and bite you in your butt eventually. And I was just reading an article. I didn't know in some states someone can be charged for a crime for slander or saying something that is inaccurate. You can actually for defaming somebody, you can give them a lawsuit. You can charge with a lawsuit or imprisonment. And in California, you can do that. So there is a price, and it's not something that engage in, but it's something that you should be aware that it's going to eventually come back and affect your life, or even maybe you can lose some time and go to prison or something like that. So for me, I think it's just a state of just being cautious, just being honest. Honesty always has been the best way of getting things done, and just being strategic with what you say. Sometimes you might say some things that might be hurtful, but it's almost a way that you're helping someone, uh, but spreading lies or could cause tremendous damage to other people. So I think exercising caution is a way, um, to it's almost like it's kind of built in our society. It's something that people uh, you know avoid, so it's almost already there, so it's almost unnatural to do that. But we all know that once you engage in something like that, then somehow you will eventually pay the price for that, and you'll have to prepare yourself to to deal with it when that time comes. So it's a really good proverb, just to keep things in check and remind us that we have to be kind to each other. We have to speak truth, and if it's truth, there has to be something that's going to be beneficial to the other person. So Simon, that's it. I appreciate this. Thank you.
You're very much appreciated as well, Phil. I appreciate how you're saying that caution. Just caution and think before you say certain things, and think before you do certain things. That's what this proverb is telling us, and really similar to what Rushi was saying earlier. You know, with the world of screenshots, and it's so crazy how on WhatsApp, people share screenshots so fast about issues on Twitter, on Instagram. So it's a world of screenshots. You say something, someone screenshots it and sends it to someone. Before you know it, all the frogs have had it. So these our ancestors were very wise. They knew what was coming, and it's just incredible to hear your perspective. I would love to connect with you sometime. I hope you and the family are doing great. It means a lot you took the time this morning. Hey.
Yes, Simon, thank you so much. And it's interesting you said the screenshot thing. We're in the information age. You never know who's recording. So for example, you could be out there, you're having a little argument with someone over maybe parking, something small. You think it's no big deal, or maybe when the argument is over, you agree, and maybe you even become friends from that argument. But the person recording will probably not see the friendship part where you guys made peace. They'll probably see where the argument was, and they'll put it on social media, and you're going to be labeled as something. And people are quick to judge, unfortunately, with technology. They just see something and they say, oh wow, that guy's like the worst guy in the planet. And it's kind of tricky because last observation, there was a guy I was watching on TV. He was Hispanic guy. He was driving his car, and he had this hand gesture, and he didn't know he was doing a hand gesture. And this hand gesture represented the Ku Klux Klan or something, and he was driving. And on that day, there was kind of like, a Black Lives Matter movement or something. But this guy was like he was just going home, but he had some gesture in his hand or whatever, or he was putting his finger or something. But you could see clearly it was an Hispanic guy. But the whole thing just went online and exploded. He lost his job. He lost everything. He can't get a job because every time you Google his name, it's right there. And it's such an interesting world. But back to the point is you have to be very careful what you say. You almost have to be like a politician, so to speak. So because whatever you say could come back and really mess you up. So just wanted to share that. Thanks, Simon.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. And also, speaking of, certain stories being on top of Google search, and even the name of this individual that you're speaking about, it's also all about the narrative, and who is controlling the narrative. And I don't know if this proverb speaks about it entirely, but I think it actually touches on it a little bit, that the frogs might not hear it once, but twice, three times. Then it becomes, your brand. The narrative begins getting controlled through that lens that you started, by what you're saying, and you didn't know that somebody else had. I want to go on to Stella, though. I want to hear from Stella. How are you, Stella? Where are you joining us from? And, what are your thoughts on today's proverb?
Hi, Simon. Hello, everyone. Hi, Chioma.
Hi.
This is Stella from Kenya, and today's proverb that is talking about frogs and the stream and words. I've been relating it with so many proverbs that we've talked about in the past. Like there was one about how you need to be gentle when milking a cow so that you can get more milk. And I think it's the same thing with words, because you really have to be gentle with your words, because words can really hurt people. They can make people smile, they can make people laugh. And just like Rushi was saying, that you have to choose your words carefully. Yeah, as much as sometimes we have to speak our minds, you also have to try to be gentle with your words, so that maybe your message was intended for good, to correct someone in a good way, but the way you say it might end up hurting them more and causing more damage. So I agree with this proverb that we really have to be cautious and careful with what we say, so that we don't burn so many bridges. Recently, there was a war on Twitter between I don't know if you saw it, Simon, between Winnie Odinga and a supporter of her dad, and I think it just got out of hand and it was terrible. But anyway, those are things that happen, and this is life, so we have to live through the hard times too. Otherwise, thank you, and thank you for the proverb today.
Of course, of course. Yeah. I appreciate your perspectives, and also I appreciate your love and support for what we do here. Stella, you're one of the biggest advocates and hard workers that makes this possible. As you're speaking, I didn't catch the exact situation with Winnie Odinga, but I know that she has been trolled by a lot of people that were disappointed that Raila Odinga lost. Rushi was talking about this, and a huge number of Kenyan, more than 50% of the Kenyan population, are actually very unhappy with the results of the election. Not with the results, but with how the true results were hijacked, and how there are so many layers to why, but also I think what Stella was saying, it's not about what you say, but how you say it, because your words can be so powerful and damaging. And that brought the words of the Supreme Court judges that were handling the petition, on the presidential election in Kenya, and some of the words that they used were so, uncalled for, and it showed people who are keen on this case that the Supreme Court could have been bought as well, because Kenya, as many countries around Africa are, Kenya was for sale to the highest bidder, you know. So the person who had the most money was able to become Kenya's president, you know. And that's the world we are living in. It's the world we are in, where, you know, if you want to protect your money, you better be able to afford such positions and, you know, buy everybody along the way. That's probably the reality to a certain extent, even here in the US where we live. So, you know, we just need to deepen our awareness and know how to continue living and thriving despite the reality underneath the reality that we live in, you know. Anyway, Jay, how are you doing? It's been a few days since I heard your voice, and today we are discussing a Mozambican proverb, and I would love to hear what you have to say about it. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone in the room. And I just listened to how you speak, Simon, and others, and that you're very cautious and you're very careful about what you say and how you say it and the tone that you use. And I think it takes time, training to learn the proper technique. And not everyone learns that or takes the time or is willing to listen and learn to be trained. Because words can help and they can hurt, they can damage, and they can kill. And words are powerful. They're extremely powerful, and they're sharper than a two-edged sword. And you have to be very careful and cautious, is what's been said many, many times, because the words do spread now like wildfire. And it will get out of control and in ways that probably were not initially intended. And so it is really important that we really take the time to think before we speak, so that when we do share our thoughts or our concerns or even our positions on certain issues, that we're not sharing it in such a way that could cause harm and damage when it was intended to be hurtful. It was intended to be helpful. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
I love that, especially how you ended it by saying why it was intended to be helpful, you know, because I always believe that most human beings, even the worst human beings, means well, you know, because everybody wants to be alive. Everybody wants to breathe well. Everybody wants to see their family members doing well, their communities doing well. Everybody means well. So as long as you are able to think before you speak, so that when you finally speak, you know, what you meant to say is actually helpful and not harmful. I love that a lot. And also, this could be changed to say that think before you act, you know, so that when you act, it's not harmful, it's beneficial. So that marks the end of the contributions from our wonderful guests. But I want to come back to you, Chioma, to close us out with a poem or a comment, and then we'll wrap up our session for today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon, and thank you, everyone who shared. I just wanted to share, I guess, some highlights from everyone before I close off with like a poem. So Simon, you talked about being careful of like the smallest things in a situation. And I just liked how you said that, because, you know, this stream can be a really big place, but there are very small things in the space that we may not notice, and those things are listening. Simply Eve here right now, she said there's a frequency in speaking someone up or speaking about someone. And she said that there are ears even in the mountains and even in the skies. And I just thought that was like beautiful and so true. That like even if you speak something like in the space where no one is, like there's frequency in just speaking. And then brother, you said bad news travels twice as far as good news. When you say something, you can't unsay it, and when people hear it, they can't. When people hear it, they can't unhear it. Rushi, you said the frogs are always listening. When someone repeats what they heard or what was said, it never comes out the way that we meant it to. So being respectful of our words, especially if it's directed to someone else, even if it is true. Phil, you mentioned that nothing is secret. What goes around comes around. What you say will come around and bite you in the butt. So being cautious, honest, and strategic about our speaking. Sally, you just reminded us of being gentle with our words, regardless of what it is. Just being gentle with them and thinking about them. And Jay, you said words can help and they can hurt. Take the time to think before we speak. And I will close it off with the poem and then also just ways that you all can support. All right, so the poem for today's proverb, which the proverb again was slander by the stream will be heard by the frogs. The poem. Your tongue can cut a thing in half, can cut a thing in pieces. Slice too hard, too quick, your knife can fall and slip. Cut your hand, cut your feet, what your words weren't meant to eat. And even if you cut with care, the frogs can hear your knife hitting the cutting board. And that was my poem for today. Ways that you can support me is just honestly just showing up and supporting the space. If you see anything that you think might be useful for me, just sending them my way. And just the big way you can support me right now is by supporting my friend. I put a link in my link tree on IG, a fundraiser that I'm doing for my friend. So if you can support that fundraiser, that would be like you supporting me, and that would make me just very grateful, and I would help her make her very grateful. So check out the link in my IG account and go to the link tree. It's the first one at the top. You should be able to see that. And yeah, that's all. I'm complete. Thank you all in advance. Thank you all for just bringing some light to my day. This space is always does that to me. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Simon.
Excellent. Thank you again, Chioma, for gifting us with your poetry talent today, and also for really, really being a wonderful guest today and as usual every Wednesday. So I want to invite you all to join me tomorrow, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, here on Clubhouse and also on YouTube. I see that we have a couple of people on YouTube. Thank you again. It means a lot that you've joined us there. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and also leave a comment sharing what this proverb means to you, the proverb that we are discussing from Mozambique. Again, I promised to share the 3 nuggets that my team and I prepared. But instead I am going to do a video and share it on TikTok. So if you want to catch those 3 nuggets, go to my TikTok and catch the latest video that will be posted there. Again, thank you all so much. Take great care of yourselves. Peace and love.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.